So, people always come up to me in-game and ask me, Isaac, how are you so good at Arsenal? And I would reply, practice. But that's not the case. In this video, I'm going to tell you how to be better at Arsenal, because it's not that hard. In doing that, I've divided this video into 3 segments: game sense, aim, and movements. Pause. Wait. What even is Arsenal? Well, Arsenal is an FPS game on Roblox. It is heavily inspired by CSGO, Arms Race, and TF2. The objective of the game is to reach the golden knife and get a kill with it before other players while switching guns every kill. Now that that is cleared up, back to the video. Game sense, simply put, is knowing the guns and maps of Arsenal. Let me first talk about guns. There are around 145 weapons in Arsenal, which all fall into 8 categories: pistols, SMGs, shotguns, automatic rifles, semi-automatic rifles, machine guns, snipers, and miscellaneous weapons. Each category of weapons is used differently. For example, shotguns are most effective up close. Snipers are effective at all ranges, and automatic rifles are good from close to medium range. Every gun except projectile weapons are hit scan, meaning wherever your crosshair is, that is where the bullet will go. There is no bullet travel time. That means you should aim right where you want the bullet to go, and you should not try and compensate for bullet travel time. Each weapon has its own quirks which you can use to your own advantage. Here are some examples. You can rocket jump with explosive weapons. You can scope on certain weapons. You can double jump with dispenser carbine, Henry rifle, ice stars, lever shotgun, and golden knife. The M16A2 has a noob tube if you right click on it. So, you can see that there are quite a lot of special traits to each weapon. These abilities help determine whether said gun is good or not. There are good weapons, and then there are weapons that are complete garbage. And you need to figure out how good each gun is by just playing the game and using them. All of this comes with experience and practice. But if you're lazy and you don't want to do that, then here's some Arsenal weapon pro tips. Tip number 1. If you have ever played a shooter before, you know to keep your crosshair at head level so it is easier to hit headshots. Take a look at this footage. You can notice that my crosshair is barely moving vertically at all. This is because I have it placed on the height of an average player model. That way, if, say, an enemy comes around a corner, I'll be able to instantly hit their head without having to move my mouse. Tip number 2. Always know how much damage the weapon you are currently using does. Ask yourself, does this weapon one-shot? How much damage does this do? How many shots do I need to kill the other person? That way, you will know if you need to be close or far, or how many shots you need to hit the other person with in order to get the kill. Next, I will talk about maps. There are around 19 maps in the current map rotation, with a fair share of good ones and bad ones. Once again, it is up to you to figure out what maps are good and bad. How you move around the map depends on what weapon you have. For example, if you have the golden knife, you generally should not run into the middle of the map head first. If you do that, you'll get instantly shot. But if you take a flanking route and sneak behind the other team, then you can get an easy backstab and win the game. Each map has different parkour jumps that you can use to gain an advantage. For example, there's a pretty useful jump on Sandtown where you can get up to the top platform. There's another jump on Dizzy where you can go around the barrier. Aside from parkour, there's another very important part of maps, which are the spawns. Knowing the spawns is one of the most important factors in Arsenal world records and getting very fast games. This is because the player will know where the enemies are as soon as they spawn. You need to take advantage of this and basically kill enemies as soon as they spawn. This will help win games and help you become an overall better player. Here are some Arsenal map pro tips. Tip 1. This is obvious, but you need to know the basic layout of the map. As most of the maps in Arsenal are either stolen from Counter-Strike or really simple, all of the maps should be easy to memorize. Tip 2. Certain maps are better or worse for certain types of weapons. For example, Boulevard is a very large map, so weapons that have high spread and low damage range are harder to get kills with. Next, I will talk about aim. Aim is an integral part of Arsenal, as the game is literally just point and click on enemies. There are a few important things you need to do to get good aim. The first thing is sensitivity. Find a good sensitivity and DPI that works for you. You can change your sensitivity in the settings menu. Generally, I find that people set their sensitivity too high. Personally, I have mine set to 0.06 and 750 DPI. The second thing is to aim for the head. Considering that 20% of all weapons can one-shot headshot all ranges and 56% of weapons can two-shot headshot from up close, this really shows how important aiming for the head and just aim in general really is in Arsenal. The third thing is mice. Try and get a mouse if you are on a trackpad. But if you have a normal office mouse, then you are okay because those can work just fine for aiming. The fourth thing is practice. Play the game. Maybe use an aim trainer. That could probably help. The best Arsenal players all have insane aim, which just shows how important aim is to the core mechanics of the game. And if you want to get insane aim as well, listen to these pro tips. Tip number 1. Practice 10 to 30 minutes each day. Pretty self-explanatory. Tip number 2. For this tip, I'm going to talk about target optimization. Target prioritization is when you prioritize the target that has a greater chance of killing you. This is an important skill because it helps you be able to stay alive for longer and get more kills. For example, if there are two people in front of you, you need to decide which is more of a threat and kill them first, and then the other person who is less of a threat. Tip number 3. You don't always need to be moving while you shoot, as standing still can help you aim. The downside to this is that enemies have an easier time hitting you. Movement is a key part of Arsenal. Let's start with the basics. You run faster with your knife out, but make sure you always have your weapon out when you round a corner or go through a choke point. This is because you do not want to be caught without a weapon equipped as you round a corner, as there could be an enemy around it. What I like to do is take out my knife and jump. While I jump, I pull out my weapon so I can be ready to fight. If there are no enemies around the corner, I would put my weapon away and repeat the process. Crouching is an often overlooked part of movements. This is because it really has only one practical use on the surface, to hide behind something. But if you utilize crouching while gunfighting, you can look sweaty and possibly win more fights, as you are harder to hit with the smaller hitbox and unpredictable movements. And now, for some Arsenal movement pro tips. Tip number 1. Similar to Minecraft, running and jumping is faster than just running. But do not spam jump, as there's a jump fatigue mechanic, where if you spam jump, your jumps will get smaller and smaller until you barely jump. So try and space out your jumps. Tip 2. Jumping with heavy weapons, such as the Barrett, is really weird because of the physics engine. Now I'm going to talk about some miscellaneous tips for Arsenal. Try and maximize your FPS. If you have a terrible PC, turn down your graphics. Next, the Roblox client is normally locked at 60 FPS. In order to get around this, I've linked an FPS unlocker in the description that will unblock your FPS to above 60. Getting as many frames as possible is important, as it can help you get an advantage over everyone else. If you use 70 FOV, I would recommend setting it to 90. With 70 FOV, you really can't see much. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have in terms of Arsenal tips. Spent way too much time on this. So, subscribe would be nice, and yeah, see you later.
Hey, let's go! Cause I'm feeling like I'm running and I'm feeling like I gotta get away. Better know that I don't and I won't ever stop. Cause you know I gotta win every day. Go! See, really wanna pop me. Go! Just know that you will never flop me. And I know that I gotta be a little cocky. Go! You ain't never gonna stop me. Every time I come, a nigga gotta set it, then I gotta go and then I